I never really figured out whether it was if you get the kills while like shortly after reloading, because it didn't specify. It just said like with any of the other ones, because they were just lazily putting it in. Um, just kills with sleight of hand. So I did. Wasn't really working. It did seem to work. Again, seem is the key word. When I did kills shortly after reloading, but because it didn't specify, I could have just gotten the kills, and because this game is full of glitches, and every update only causes more glitches, I have yet to find an update in any Call of Duty that actually fixes the actual problem, gets rid of the actual hackers. It's just really frustrating. They're really lazy up there. Like, well, we could put money into security and helping the game get better, and patch all these glitches, but we could just make more glitches and make these quote-unquote patches that not only not fix the original problem or quote-unquote semi-patch the original problem, but those semi-patches not only do a shitty job of patching, but they cause more glitches that no one else wants to use. One of those glitches being the helicopter. Anytime I don't know how it applies to anyone else, I just know that every single one of my friends, which are very intelligent, and they do what I do, and they're all saying the same thing. So I'm willing to bet $1 million. Okay, let's just throw a number out there. I'm willing to bet, anything, because it just seems to me that since every one of my friends is saying the exact same thing, they're coming to me. I'm not even mentioning it to them. I mentioned it to one person, but that was after I already noticed it, and I just wasn't gonna say anything until someone else said it, because I didn't want it to be biased, and so they're looking for it. They're just like, hey, did you know the helicopters? And I'm like, yeah, I actually have. I was going to plan on making a video, but I was kind of seeing how long it was going to last, if it was just like a temporary weekend update or whatever, but no, it's been lasting a long time. So with the new update, first off, certain game modes, I don't know if it's solo, the recent plunder, if it was just a weekend update, what have you, they took out helos. They flat out took out helos. I don't know for all game modes, but for certain game modes, they took out helos, or the helos were not popping up. So that's really weird. It's really frustrating. It seemed in solo mode it was doing it. For trio plunders, it was doing it for a little bit. I don't know if it's still doing it. I will try all the game modes myself to see which game mode it is in specifically. It was doing it for Battle Royale, so it was just doing it for pretty much all of the game modes. Now we did get a new solo game mode where if you have enough money, you can buy yourself back, or not buy yourself back, but you can spawn back in. What a lot of people didn't know, and it doesn't tell you, is that, well, they think that's replacing self-revive, because you can't buy yourself back in because you're dead. You would have to have someone else buy you in, but it's solo, so that doesn't work. But you can in Battle Royale. There's no self-revive kits in any loot crates anywhere ever. There's no self-revive kits. The only way to get self-revive is by buying it in the store. You can get self-revive kits in Plunder, but you cannot get self-revive kits without purchasing it from the store. So that's one little fact I bet you didn't know. Another fact is, going back to the helicopter thing, anytime they tried to land it, it would act as if it's hitting something. I know you guys have done this before if you've played enough, if you've used the helicopter enough. If you're running into the helicopter, your helicopter's going to make this banging noise like the blades are hitting something. Now normally it would just crash the whole plane, but this is Call of Duty, so it's going to have a little bit of durability. Now that shit gets damaged quicker than any vehicle, which is kind of surprising, but I guess I could see it because it's already OP, because it's the fastest vehicle, it's got height, so they gotta make it, somewhat interesting. And then to combat its weakness, it's got flares, so you gotta time them perfectly. And a lot of people are like, how am I dying? I put on my flare. Well, one, people panic. Two, they do it too early. So even if you had, what was that launcher, the Strela? The pilla. So even if someone was shot with the pilla, if you just shoot that right away, it's not gonna work. The only time it will work is if it's like literally right about to hit where the the boundary of the flares would go, then sure, it would work. And if it's close enough, I don't even know if the flares would work, because it's already, if it's so close, I don't think it has enough time to drift to the left or to the right, because the box is so small, it would just end up pushing left or pushing right of the helicopter. So if it hits the tail end, or if there is even a hitbox, I don't know if the whole thing is this one huge square, or if it's perfectly outlined of the ship, because normally You know, if you mark things, it's a huge red box, and then if it's a longer thing, it's a huge red rectangle, and so that's its hitbox. So even if you shot, let's pretend you're seeing the legs of the plane, right? The landers. If you shot slightly to the right of that, in that little visible spot below the tail, if that would count as a hit marker. I don't know for sure. I would imagine it wouldn't, because that's more realistic, but you know, if you're just lazy enough, the hitbox is anywhere within that square. Even if it's not, if you could see through it, there's nothing there, it's just going to be that hitbox. It's just lazy programming, people. So this is that. Going on to the, yeah, so landing, if you land in a little desolate field, there's nothing around you, your blade's just going to start pretending like it's hitting the side of something. And every time I've landed, I've noticed that, with people in it and without people in it. So that's been an issue. Going on to the thing I wanted to show you guys, now covering all that, that's been what I've noticed recently, and just things I've been wanting to tell you. Excuse me, let me get some water. Remember, gamers, hydrate. Refreshing. People are saying, I hate water, I only like soda. Well, you're diabetic. You know, that's not a fact, but more likely than not true, to a point. Okay, moving right along. Yeah, what was I going to say? So yeah, and if you're using the Joker, it's going to take a while. So it depends. If your thing's going to say, and I haven't really experimented because there's an old private match thing like there is in Black Ops 4. So I really want to find this out, because the pilla, it's going to say, hey, there's a rocket coming at you. And I'd say, depending on how far away you are, and if I'm just going to throw an average of just like relatively far away, but not that far away, not within like a certain, how do I explain this? So let's say you're in a house, right? You see a helicopter and it's flying away because you know it's aiming at you. Let's say if you're to space out the houses, and let's just say you're 5, and just spitball location, no exact, 5 houses, 10 houses away, right? That's going to take roughly, again, spitball, just a scenario, I'd say it would take, with how fast the pila is, if it was 5 houses, that would take probably anywhere from 2 to 3 seconds. That's how fast it is, if you're 5 houses away, because that thing shoots fast. If you're 10 houses away, I'd give you a 5-ish, 6 seconds, and that's being generous, because it's really quick. And I don't think it's a straight shooter. It's a lock, because it's a lock gun, so there's no way to evade it. If you pull up, it will pull up. If you push down, it will pull down. It's not like one of those lazy lock-ons, because you know in movies and whatnot, there's lazy lock-ons where it goes to your general vicinity, but if you're able to outmaneuver it, it goes past you and then just stops locking on. And then there's the super hard ones that lock onto you, and then there's the ridiculous ones that even if it misses because you did like some crazy maneuver, it somehow turns around and comes back at you. I'm gonna say it's the second one, not the first or the third, you know, of variations of how hard the lock-on is. I like how bad the rocket locks on once it's been targeted and once it's been shot. The Joker, however, I like it a lot because a lot of people don't see it coming. First off, they panic right away. Secondly, even if they shot the one, they waited, they still get that thing going on. Even if they shot it a second time, by the time, if they literally pressed it the second they saw it, or the second they think they're getting locked on, before I'm even fully locked on, by the time they press that, and by the time it hits again, I'm sure you can hit it like once. If you're quick enough, maybe twice. If you're literally spamming that as soon as the second I'm locking onto you, I think it might be possible to launch flares twice, but even so, as soon as if you did it absolutely perfectly, and you did it the second I locked onto you before I actually target lock, you know, that's locking, target lock, as soon as I'm locking onto you, if you press it, and then you press it again as soon as it enables you to do it again, because I think you have technically unlimited flares, that would be 2 flares you could shoot, and by the second time you shot that, I'd say it would be like, not even a second, 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds at most. I think it's really a 1 second, let's just say that as soon as you shot that flare, 1 second later, it's gonna just crash down onto you. So, it shoots far up into the sky, and this, don't get me wrong, this gun is glitch as fuck. So, one, it's been glitchy. Some people say, well, if it's too far away, it's not gonna work. I don't think that's the case. I think the game's just glitchy as fuck, because I've gotten, First off, if it's too far away, it won't start locking on. There's that. So that already deters the theory. Two, if it's too far away, sure, it's more likely to not work than if it is. I do agree with that because the game's already buggy. Because sometimes I'll lock onto it and it's really not that far away and it still won't give me the hit. I think that it being further away makes it more likely to do the glitch that's already being present when it's even not that far away. And it's like, I don't know, 6-8 houses away. That's really not that far for the rocket that goes straight up into the air and comes crashing down. It's like a ninja, you know. So yeah, if it's able to lock on at all, if it says it's locking on before it says target locked, then it can be killed, no matter the distance. It's happened to me because I've just done it on, you know, stationary vehicles. I've done it on with enemies' vehicles, and sometimes I'll get the kill from like ridiculous distance away, and sometimes I won't. Whether it be active vehicles with people in it and non-active vehicles with not people in it. So if I'm like in if I'm in the and I don't think it's a elevation thing because I've done it with and without. So I think the tallest structure in the game besides the downtown is the flight control tower and airport. And that's freaking huge. Amazing sniping possibilities. Now here's the thing: because it's so high up, it's really hard for the rocket to, you know, get a lock-on symbol. So you have to meet that elevation at least somewhat halfway, so you have like your thing locks onto it. Because if you're just straight down, you're not going to be able to see it with the overshadow of just how tall it is. It's hard to explain. Like those who have played it and try to like lock onto the helicopters up there, that people that haven't landed from responding or just spawning in the first place, and they got there to be a heli. Then they know what I'm talking about. The only way you're going to get a lock on heli, which also has the potential chance to kill someone who's near the heli versus the heli explosion, because it just acts like one big C4, then you have a potential to destroy the armor, damage them somewhat, or completely knock them down. You know, it just depends on how much damage they take. I don't know if it's technically possible to kill them completely. Most of the time, as long as you're not falling to your death. Because if you're falling to your death, even if you have a flat out, I don't know why that is. I mean, I guess they're being somewhat realistic. I don't know. In any case, yeah. So I mean, this is amazing for vehicles because they always freak out, like, oh, maybe he forgot about me. And I don't understand how the target system works. Some of my peeps have said, you know, it only locks on with the pilla, and then the Joker it locks on, then it disappears, and then it's like it doesn't come at the last second, then it says it's locking on again, but by that time they're already blown up. I'm getting all different variations, so really, it's hard to tell. In my personal opinion, last time I was ever shot with a Joker, it just kept saying target locked, even when the rocket wasn't coming, it was still shooting up. Now, things change, the updates change, the way the game's partial glitches, lazy patches, whatever, what have you, whatever works, that, you know, things change. Alright, now moving on to what I was going to tell you about in the very, very get-go, is the dual wield for my 357 Magnum. So, for my 357 Magnum, it's got this, like, cool oily texture similar to the chrome, I guess, in World War II. It's got, like, this, you know, like, you ever seen gas drip down in the leftover of someone's car? You don't see that too much anymore, but for those who had, you know, been around. And I thought this looked cool, since there's already gold, you know, silver and gold mixed in with that. Like, if you see the, you know, the little trigger behind the scope, that thing where you pull down to lock it in, that's silver. The indentations of the barrel, that's gold. And so I'm like, well, actually, I think that's gold. Yeah, the locking is gold, the indentation is gold, everything else seems to be silver with, like, gold trimming, you know, like, mostly silver, gold trimming. And I'm like, well, why not do that with the trigger? Because it just looks cool. Otherwise, you know, and that's from Good Company, lesser. That's the epic versus the legendary versus the matching Typhoon, which this is just black. And by the way, this comes with the Lockwood. Lockwood custom stock. So yeah, like I think it's anytime it's a Lockwood, it's just like made to be going with it. Because if you know, if anyone's ever played Animal Crossing, there's characters cabin this, cabin that, love seat this, love seat that, cabana this, cabana. You know, I think it's cool when it matches together, when all skin matches together, not just a head and a body. You know, if we're talking about Black Ops 3, or a face paint and a body, you know, in Black Ops 4, Glitch Ops 4, whatever. So anyway, going on to this, it says get 3 kills in 5 different matches, and that's usually the standard. Using the whatever gun you're using, and then, well, actually, whatever perk it tells you to equip, and then with the gun that you're using it with. Now, each gun has, I don't think it's different for everyone, I think it's exactly the same for everyone, so if you're trying to get dual-wield, it's going to be the Recon. Now, this is what I figured. I'm like, well, you know, I'm running, as my field upgrade, I'm running the weapon drop. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but you can get a brand spanking new weapon with random attachments. I don't know if it just gives you max attachments, which is 5, or if it can give you 6 because you have the potential of getting more, which I'm going to get to in a second, or if it gives you less than that, if you're completely random with completely 3 attachments on this one, 1 attachment on that one, 5 attachments on this. I don't know how it works. Maybe it just gives you custom guns, like, and what I mean by that is like variants. So maybe it gives you a beefeater with all the attachments that come with the beefeater, or maybe it gives you a beefeater with completely separate attachments that normally come with the beefeater. I don't know. I haven't experimented enough with it because I don't care enough to. Guys, once you've gotten the game and once you start setting up your class, you're going to be wanting to upgrade the classes. So unless you're just starting out, you're not going to ever want to actually grab a randomized weapon. Unless you're completely out of ammo, unless you're completely, you know, stuck with a shitty weapon, or let's say you have an amazing weapon and your secondary is a pistol because you're not running a launcher. And it's not like a super amazing pistol, then yeah, for your secondary, maybe another primary. That kind of replaces overkill. That works. For those who don't have an amazing pistol setup, for those who don't have their ideal secondary or whatever, then yeah, it's good for a random swap. Other than that, for the people that are already starting to work on their classes and get their attachments and get their camos and all that good stuff, they're never, ever, 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 ever going to want to change that. So you don't press and hold unless you want a completely different random weapon. You just tap it, and you can maximize your attachments to however many extra attachment slots there are. For pistols, there's less than, I think it's like, depending on what pistol, it's like 1 less, 2 less. But any primary, or not any primary, but just, you know, primaries in general, their max you can have is 9, I believe. Let's just stick with one thing at a time. So, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you have 4 at the bottom. Yeah, so 9. So, as you can see, equipped 5 out of 5 at the bottom left-hand corner. It lets you equip the remainder 4, as long as you keep tapping it. Now, again, the game keeps changing. There have been times when I've used this assault rifle and I kept doing that, and I would get all the attachments, but it would keep swapping grips. Like, I already have a grip. Why do you keep swapping grips? Why don't you keep swapping, you know, other things? And at the very, very beginning when I started using it, it kept giving me different ammunitions. It kept giving me the better one. Sometimes it would give me the shittier one, like the 24, and maybe I was looking for the 30. So if you don't have an ammunition, it will give you an ammunition. Even if you like the ammunition you already have, it will try to replace all the attachments you don't already have. Now, again, people can interpret that however they want. Some people interpret it because they're stupid. They're thinking, oh, it's going to replace the attachment I already have equipped. No. If you listen carefully to my words, it's not going to replace any attachment you already have equipped. It will, however, replace no attachments on that equipped. So if you have no attachment equipped on a slot, it will replace it with the non-attachment to an attachment. So if you purposely have no scope on your attachment and you like the iron sights, to get ready to be unimpressed. It will add a scope. Now, unless you really like running a no scope, or the iron sights are just amazing, cough cough Scar H, which I love Scar H's all the time. The Scar is, I've always loved their iron sights. I think it's like one of my personal favorite for iron sights, especially in Black Ops 4. They've made the iron sights in Black Ops 4 amazing. That and Modern Warfare 3, I think it was. Anyway, moving on. The attachment for just anything is going to be replaced with something. Now, in the beginning, I did notice where, like I said, 24 to 30, it doesn't really do that anymore, but then again, I haven't used it in a while. It does do the rear grip thing, where it'll keep changing the grip even if you already have one. Now, see, I worded that poorly. So if you don't have a grip, it won't change it. What I'm trying to say is once you get a grip, it will keep changing the grip. So, no rear grip, it'll give you like stippled grip tape, then rubberized. Normally it only does it twice, but the only time it will actually take it away, like for example, if I had, where is it? This one. So it's really weird, the system, where I've just experimented and it's just the way it is. So if I had the speed grip, or that's not the one I'm looking for. I had, I think it was with the Rossetti, because I wasn't looking at the Rossetti just now. I was looking at the Rossetti. This is not the Rossetti. Oh my god. So, okay. Damn. Oh, I'm thinking like the X16, but fuck it, I'll just show you. So if I'm going to the X16, the attachment for the rear grip is it gives you a stock. If I have a stock already equipped, this is the exception to the rule. There's certain exceptions to the rule. It will take your stock and it will replace it with a tape grip, some type of tape grip. That is weird as hell. It's unfortunate. It doesn't make any sense. Normally, it would give you the best possible. Now, me personally, I care about power. I care about range because range, again, it comes in with power. Like how far, how damaging will the bullet be from a certain distance. Range is just really, it's become, before it was infinite range. Now they're trying to be more realistic. So now range is more or less correlated with damage. How much damage, like you have damage bar, which is just damage period of the gun. And then if you have more damage, obviously that damage does more over a distance. But then again, same things with the range. If you have range, that bullet does more damage over a distance. So it's kind of the same thing. If you get into distance, it's hard to explain. But if you're just like right in front of somebody, the more powerful a gun is, the more quickly it is to kill them. I guess it's kind of hard. And if the range also, they're more or less the same. It's hard to explain, but they're more or less the same. They're both, it's damage 1 and damage 2. That's just easier way to think of it. It's like 2 damage counters is really what they mean by that. Except for like snipers, I suppose, and shotguns. Other than that. So yeah. The control and the accuracy I've already explained is really fucking shitty way of explaining. And mobility, you know, if you're trying to go for, unless you have a run and gun class, you need to be running the best things for, I mean, you know, if you like a high damage class, so you're going to be giving up mobility and whatever. But that's why you have everyone running a certain class to, you know, helping someone. You have someone running support, so they can support you. You'll be everyone running a different class, so they offset each other's weaknesses and help each other's strengths. You know, that kind of thing. So yeah, going back to this. I found out while using the field upgrade, depending on what it asks you to, for this one you need Recon. So if you don't have anything equipped and you happen to get Recon as that perk by clicking the extra attachment, by clicking the field upgrade, which is the weapon drop. So if I click my weapon drop, I tap it, I get the Recon, and I get 3 kills out of it, it counts towards the challenge of get 3 kills in 5 different matches. So you don't necessarily have to have it equipped. It's a lot more difficult. You have to wait for it to come out. And then on top of it, if you get shitty teammates, which 9 times out of 10, because Call of Duty's cancer, you know, every multiplayer is cancer, because there's just the bulk of it is shitty, ignorant, full of themselves, retarded, no miking, retards. They literally, if I were to have to say the bulk of America, the bulk of Call of Duty, the bulk of anything gaming related anyway, you know, it's full of retards, if I'm being completely honest. Now, Why? All right, let me. I'm gonna just veer off topic for a second here. Why do you think there's so few rich people and there's a lot of poor people? Well, poor people normally, not always, normally make poor decisions and they don't try to change it. Or they're just dug themselves in such a deep hole that they're stuck where they're at. Rich people either were in a bad situation and fixed it or just did something with their life and got rich. That's why they're at. That's why there's few rich people, because there's few intelligent people, and there's a lot of poor people, because there's just a lot of not as intelligent people, or just not intelligent people at all. So if you take that, you take all the drug users, you take all the people doing heroin until they die, take all the smokers that don't care about their health, you take out any drug, someone who's abusing it, someone even used it once. There's people who have died from fucking energy drinks. There's people who have died that have only tried a drug once. You know, and because there's so many different people, there's so many different combinations that everything is, even if it's only been tried once, people have died from it once because there's just so many people and there's so many possibilities, so many variables, and it's just, you know, I forget which law it was, Newton's law or whatever. If it can happen, it will happen, because just the more people happen, the more likely that something that hasn't happened that will happen, to the point that it just makes it that much harder for anything that hasn't already happened for something brand new to happen, because it's just already been done. There's so many lives, so many different experiences. Sorry, I'm a little bit of a ramble, but you get where I'm getting at, hopefully. If you have common sense, you understand basics of how the world works, you understand where I'm coming from. So, yeah, that's why majority of people anywhere are you're gonna have more stupid people than more intelligent people. Normally, like if you go to Japan, it's true in a different way, because they're if you're gonna take an alpha race, Japanese people, they're the alpha race, because they do something with their lives. Now, of course, it's gonna be the same here as anywhere else. It doesn't matter if you're in like the elite master race, whatever. There's always going to be, in any race, in any people, in anything, anywhere, there's always going to be good, there's always going to be bad, there's always going to be sloth, there's always going to be hardworking people out there, no matter what it is, anything. There's always going to be one extreme and the other. It's just the way it is. So, from that, coming back to this, it's really going to be really hard to do this challenge using the weapon drop, dealing with the shitty players, if you don't already have it equipped. I did it just so I could prove to you it could be done. But anyway, moving on. So yeah, guys, just gonna cover this topic a little second longer. When people are playing Call of Duty, it's never a good idea to not have a mic, unless you're playing solo. If you're gonna play solo mode, go play solo mode. Do not go into a team-based game mode and not use teamwork. The whole point of a team-based game mode is for an objective, to work as a team. If you're not having a mic, there is no communication, there is no teamwork, and teamwork cannot happen without a mic. Sure, someone can get lucky a game, someone can maybe be somewhat intelligent and can use hand signals, and someone might be able to be intelligent enough to interpret what that means, but that is a shot in the dark. You know, there's so many possibilities that, of course, it could happen. Just the likelihood is slim to none. So, if you go to military terms, there's military terms for like hold, go. There's a guy over there. Join up. Those are all the symbols that they're integrating because they're trying to make this more realistic. A lot of people don't know what that means. So it's just, again, there's just so many. I hope you can understand what I'm trying to say and why it's exhausting to try to say all the different possibilities. But there's just so many people that are not willing to change because they're stubborn and they don't want to. Like, why should I have to change? I'm coming on here to quote unquote enjoy myself, and that would be great if that was the only case. But some people get on here to make other people miserable. Some people get on here, or not some, a lot of people get on here to be a troll. So and if you have a mic, I have yet to find a single person without a mic that isn't a troll in some degree. There's it's anything you can think of that's negative, that's what a no-micer does. Well, they can't talk, so they teabag you, they don't revive you, they do everything that you know not to do. If you know that someone's not supposed to do something, they do it. If it's one thing they don't do, or if it's a bunch of things they don't do that they're not supposed to do. But you get what I'm trying to say. If you have to find a single no-micer that does everything that someone with a mic should. Now, that's not to say people with mics don't do shitty things. They can do shitty things. In fact, there's something that a micer can do that no micer can't do. They can talk shit to their superior. Now, I'm not the best player in the world, but let's say I'm the only one going at the objective, and this guy's only going for kills, and and he thinks every game is team deathmatch. Then he's fucking cancer, and he's fucking toxic. And again, I don't promote suicide. I am very against it. But it's like Hitler. I think I talked this previously in another video. Why wouldn't you want Hitler to kill himself to not avoid all the Holocaust, right? Who wouldn't agree that killing Hitler would be an amazing, him committing suicide would not be an amazing thing and saving all those lives. So, if someone's that toxic, that cancerous, that much of a virus to society, why wouldn't they, if they're a disservice to society, why shouldn't they kill themselves, So, just think of it this way, to simplify it so people don't get butthurt, they don't overthink it. If someone's similar to Hitler, they don't try to get better, they're trying to be cancerous, they're trying to be making people miserable. Their only goal in life is to make everyone miserable, to hurt people physically, emotionally, everything negative. There's no reason for them to live. There isn't. If someone's going to be raping people, murdering people, why should they live? Why? If it's for a good reason, there's never a good reason to rape people. If there's a reason for someone murdering, whether it be self-defense, they're in the military, whatever, fine. But again, that's a whole another can of worms. I'm not going to really try to open up, but I hope you understand. If you put yourself in my shoes, you take heed of what I'm trying to say and try to interpret. People that want to do good usually do good, and they try to explain themselves. People that are bad don't really care about what other people think, and they just try to be evil. So, anyway, that's a little food for thought. That's my little, psychological thing for today, to have you just try to expand your mind and think, I never really thought of it that way. Maybe I could do this differently. Maybe I didn't need to do that today. Whatever. All I'm saying is, the Call of Duty and gamer society in general, any multiplayer game, it could just be a lot better if people didn't do stupid things. If stupidity can be avoided, it should be. If you don't need to be playing solo on a multiplayer game mode, then don't. Are you intentionally trying to be a cancerous piece of shit? Or are you just a noob and you need guidance? If you're a shit player, guess what? I personally guarantee you, my personal guarantee, you could be the shittiest player in Call of Duty. If you were to follow my instructions to the T, I could make you potentially one of the better players. If not one of the best, quote-unquote, best players. Like, so good it's unrealistic, almost. Because I would be implementing you common sense. Shitty players don't use common sense more often than not. They panic, they don't use common sense, they don't use strategy, which is why they're shitty players. I seriously doubt that a shitty player using all that common sense strategy and still being a really crappy, like, on the bottom of the leaderboards player, I seriously doubt that they're using that. It's just the likelihood is non-existent. So, again, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you've learned something new. Leave a like and share with your friends. And for those who are all looking to expand their mind, become a better person, for those who are looking for tips and tricks, wanting to know more about anything, subscribe to my channel, click notification so you can be ready, get it for anyone else, and not miss a single video. I am open to suggestions for making other different types of videos. If you have questions, if you have concerns about your life, just anything you want to talk about, leave it in the comments section below. More than happy to help. Until next time, peace.